What is up, everybody? I hope that all of you guys are staying safe and healthy and hanging in there. It's been a second since I uploaded on YouTube. It's been about 3 weeks, and it's crazy because I had every intention to produce more content for you, and instead I wasn't able to do any. Life happened, and I've learned, especially right now, to take everything day by day. This video is going to be a little bit more heavy, so if you're in like a really good headspace right now and a good vibe and you don't want to watch this and get into all of that, I completely understand. Do not feel like you have to, but I didn't feel right just jumping back into YouTube without explaining what's been going on for those of you guys who didn't know. I did fill in anybody who watched my Instagram. I did it on Insta stories and Snapchat, what's been going on with me, and a little bit on my community tab here on YouTube too. If you aren't following me there yet on, one of my social media channels or whatever, it's all Ashley Ellix, and that way you can kind of get some more, updates if you feel like, where'd this girl go? She just disappeared. So I try to update you guys there. I'm sorry there's not like an easier way to notify you guys here on YouTube. It's a totally different animal to have to like produce, edit, everything, upload on YouTube. It's not instantaneous and easy. So anyways, I'm gonna be talking to you guys about that, the family stuff that happened with me, and also being sick and what that all entailed and everything, and some life lessons that I want to share with you guys in there. So if you want to see that, if you want to hear about all of that, then let's just go ahead and dive into it. So let me kind of start at the beginning for you guys. So we decided to self-isolate or quarantine or whatever you want to call it starting March, what day is it now even? March 13th was my daughter's last day of school, so the 14th. I'm in California, so things started to go into action a little bit sooner. It was going to be starting that Monday. Her preschool was going to be done for 2 weeks, but you know now that that's been extended. So starting that Saturday, we're like, okay, we don't need to leave the house. We're good. Let's just hunker down. Let's start doing self-isolation because it seems like things are getting more serious. On March 17th, which was St. Patrick's Day, I got a phone call. Sorry. I'm going to try to breeze through this part really fast because obviously it's a very personal situation, but we got a phone call that we lost my grandfather. That's really hard in any situation. But then on top of that, obviously dealing with the fact that we can't deal with it. It kind of feels like things being put on ice. Not being able to run to my family and comfort each other during that time was and is very hard. We were very close with my grandpa, and he was a great, great man, and he touched so many lives, and he just did such wonderful things and good things. So we were dealing with that, and I had decided to take at least the rest of that week to just kind of let myself go through that motion, like on top of everything else that's happening, let me, deal with that, and then come the next week, I would decide what I was going to do moving forward with YouTube and stuff. Because YouTube has been a really good outlet for me when I'm going through things in my personal life, to be able to take away and step out for a second and just have some normalcy, I guess. Something creative to get my mind off things and then go back to allowing myself to feel. So that's where I was at. That was on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then come Saturday evening, I started to notice a little scratch in the back of my throat. I was like, that's weird, but I'm kind of like paranoid as it is. So I was like, I was probably doing that all week, kind of stressing out, about everything that's going on. So it was a little scratch, and I was like, okay, whatever. I took a little vitamin C, had some water, and went to bed. And about 11 o'clock at night, I noticed that the throat was getting worse, more fiery, really scratchy, but figured I'd just try to sleep best as I could. I had a pretty rough night trying to sleep through that and noticing, when you swallow that it hurts. And then when I woke up in the morning, it had gotten much worse, really swollen throat, fiery throat, hurts to swallow. By the afternoon, I was already having really bad body aches, like extreme body aches, hurt so much. Like I felt every piece of clothing on me, when you feel like every hair on your head. And I was freezing. I was covered in, pajamas and a comfy, that big giant sweater that I wear, and tons of blankets, and nothing would make me feel warm. I was so cold, shivering. So by the afternoon, the fever started. And by 1 o'clock, it was like 101.5. And then by 2 o'clock, it was 102.5. But I took a Tylenol at 1 o'clock because my body aches were so bad that it was like hard for me to sleep. So by the time we took the temperature where it got up to 102.5, that's the highest that we measured it. I think the Tylenol might have kicked in or something. So it never registered higher than that, and then after a couple hours it started to go back down. So that was good. But when you take Tylenol, right, it's only supposed to be like every 6 hours. So I could feel it starting to wear off and my throat getting just more painful. It would only kind of dull it. So the body aches were starting to come back and my fever would start to come back up. So right when I could take my Tylenol again, I did. And the fever would start to come back down. So that was good. And we just kind of rotated that whole situation that whole day and night. So then the next day, which was Monday, you know, things weren't getting better. It was getting pretty bad that we were just like, you know, let's just call around to, you know, our nurse line and everything and see what route we're supposed to go next. Because we're hearing that if you're having symptoms, you should get tested for COVID-19 and everything. And regardless of that, maybe they think I have something else that I could get tested for and get started on some treatment. Long story short, talked to a couple nurses' lines and even the COVID-9 for this part of California that we're in. And there was nothing that they could do. I didn't meet their qualifications of what could potentially be a severe case. So I wasn't elderly or immune compromised, and I haven't recently traveled, which was frustrating that they kept pushing the travel thing because, come on, we know now, but most of us knew back then that it wasn't just travel related that people were getting it was in the community. So I understood that they only have so many tests and they need to save them for people that could be more severe for them, and I completely understand that. But I can't understand how we aren't prepared to have enough tests to be able to test everybody. So that was very frustrating. They didn't want me to come in and test for strep or other things because of the possibility that I could have COVID-19, but they didn't want to test me for COVID-19 because there wasn't enough tests. So it was kind of like a game. And it was very frustrating, but I completely understand how their hands were kind of tied. And I get that. Everybody's just kind of doing the best they can, I think, right now. Also, they told me what symptoms I have doesn't sound like strep or, you know, any of those other things that it could be. So I just kind of have to treat it like I have it and just do my best to hydrate and drink warm fluids and, you know, do the Tylenol thing, which I was already doing, just basically manage my symptoms and try not to come in contact with people. So I continue just doing what I'm doing. Like I said, I was drinking tons and tons of hot fluids and warm fluids, nothing cold. Everything I was doing was warm temperature or hotter, round the clock, ginger and honey and tea and just tons and tons and tons, and I mean tons of liquids. I could barely eat. I didn't have an appetite at all, but I forced myself to eat like little bit of liquids and soft foods that I could, but it was like not very much. I was having a hard time. So then the next day would be Tuesday. By that evening, I kind of felt like it was almost starting to get better. Like I could swallow a little bit easier. Like I wasn't having to take my Tylenol as frequently. Like instead of 6 hours, I could go 7 hours. That's the little things, right? So I was optimistic when I went to bed. But when I woke up in the morning, oh my gosh, it was the worst that I felt the whole time. I could barely swallow. Even the tiniest warm sip of something was so extremely painful, and I could barely talk. So that was not going to happen. No. I was like, okay, I can't do this. Like my throat's going to close on me. This is an issue. And meanwhile, I still had no signs of strep or anything. Like the little white patches, I had none of that. So it was super, super weird. So I got in touch with my doctor's nurse. Before it was just like a regular nurse line, you know? So they were concerned for me with my throat closing and everything, as they should be. So they, again, did the whole runaround. Sorry, like you can't get tested for COVID, even though it sounds like it's a possibility, right? Everybody has so many different symptoms right now. It's just like insane. It's just such a wild virus, you guys. It's so wild. But they did agree that, you know, it's not okay that my throat closes because then I'll die. So the nurse decided to have me come in. And that in and of itself, you guys, is really scary for two reasons. Number one, if I do have it or if I did have it, I am potentially exposing however many people. That's really scary. I don't want to be exposing people to it if I have it, you know, and I'm going into like a doctor's office, like a suite, you know, it's not the hospital, but it's just like, So that was stressful, and I told her that, like, I'm concerned about that. And then also, like, I'm scared of getting it by going to the doctors, you know? And she's just like, well, you got to do it because your throat's closing. I'm like, I know, but it's just scary. So luckily my husband did have a mask from like a paint job that he did a little while ago. So we had a couple masks in the garage. So I put one of those on and was like, at least it's something to hopefully protect everybody at the office, because I came in contact with what, at least 6 people. Yeah. So you know, they had all their measures down. They had it down. The doctor's office was awesome, let me tell you. I was the only one there other than the people working, and they were all masked and gloves up, and they were disinfecting everything. So you guys that are on the front lines, you guys are doing amazing. You guys are doing awesome. I'm so sorry that we're not better prepared for this, that the government was not better prepared for this. And I don't want to get into all of that, but like, it's crazy. They tested me there for strep and some stuff, and it was all negative. And the doctor said, you know, she's awesome. She's like, we're just going to have to treat this like you have it. We can't confirm that you do or don't. So I do want to clarify. I don't know if I had it. I don't know. Hopefully one day we'll be able to get antibodies tested to find out like who's had it and who hasn't. But I have something viral, and she doesn't know what it is. If she had a COVID test, she would test me, but she wasn't able to do that. So what she was able to do for my throat, though, was give me some steroids. And thank God, because that helped so much. Oh my goodness. I'm very grateful that that was at least able to help, because it was getting scary. And it's really hard, too, when you go from like, oh, I think I'm okay, and then like, you know, 6 hours later after you wake up to like the worst. So the steroids helped. I had to take those for a week, and they kind of helped right away. I hadn't taken steroids in quite some time. I was like wired, but then exhausted at the same time. It was very weird. So it was weird for a week, another blur of a week. And yeah, after my steroids were done, they helped. I was still tired. It's been a little over 2 weeks now since I first had my symptoms. I'm still tired, but today I'm pretty good. My throat on the outside is swollen, like my glands are swollen, but not on the inside or anything. I'm just a little bit tired. I was never sneezy, no runny nose, no stuffiness, which is very weird. That's like, when I get sick, it's usually, you know, like that. Nose, throat situation, coughing. I didn't cough, so that is weird. But I mean, it's like I said, somewhere in there. There's so many different symptoms and stuff. It's just crazy. I do want to note, though, that another thing I'm grateful for is the doctor said, judging on what I described to her of the symptoms of both my daughter and my husband who were sick before me, sounds like they had exactly the same thing I had. So that is good, that they're most likely not to get whatever I had. And with that being said, the timeline of what my daughter and husband had, the doctor was like, yeah, you know, I would test you for COVID. So my daughter was sick for 2 weeks, and within that 2 weeks, like it's either after a week or week and a half, then my husband got sick. And then a little less than 2 weeks later, I got sick. So the timing of it is suspicious, especially because I didn't really leave the house. You know, and this is one of the only things this contagious that has this long of an incubation period. So, I mean, maybe that's neither here or there for you guys, but I just kind of wanted to tell you all what I went through, what was going on. Like I said, we are not able to confirm at this point whether I had COVID or not. Sounds kind of like it according to my doctor, but we just don't know. Whatever I had, though, knocked me down. I cannot remember ever being that sick other than having like a severe stomach flu and actual strep throat. I've never had like such a sickness not get better. Like it felt, I was really scared that morning that I woke up and it was worse, because it felt like it was getting worse. It was very scary. So what's my little life lesson that I said I wanted to share with you guys? It's that if you are able to self-isolate, if you're not still forced to be out at work, if you're able to stay home, please do that. If I did have COVID, if that's what I had, I was able to prevent exposure to other people for at least 8 days before my first symptoms started. 8 days. That's 8 days I could have been out and about spreading it to people if that's what I had. So I'm really grateful that I decided to self-isolate and to do that, because every person counts. Every bit helps. Anything that you can do, do it. You know, if you're able to stay home, please do. Hopefully this can just be a momentary time in our lives, and it may seem overwhelming, But hopefully we only have to do this once if we do it right. And thank you so much to those of you guys who are out there on the front lines. I have family that is doing it too. I feel for you guys so much. I hope that you guys can all get the supplies that you need, as I cannot believe that we're living in a time that people and healthcare workers and even grocers and people that are on the front lines have to reuse disposable products that are not meant for being reused. I'm so sorry. And I hope that that gets solved really soon and you guys protect yourselves as best you can. Thank you so much. Everybody out there who's keeping this world going round, people working in grocery stores to get food to people in the healthcare industry, thank you. Anybody who's staying home that doesn't need to go out, thank you. We're gonna get through this. We just need to help each other do that. And we need to spread kindness and grace. And we need to see this on the other side. And we need to learn from this and grow from this. Thank you for stopping by my little video here. Like I said, I felt very weird just posting pre-filmed content without context behind what's been going on with me for 3 weeks. Because like I said, this is real life. But I want to be a light in your life. I want to be a distraction when I can. And I hope to be able to serve that for you. Like I said, I need to take it day by day. I learned a lesson in that. And I'll try to get as much as I feel I'm able to get out for you guys. So I have 2 videos for this week scheduled that are pre-filmed and edited, and they're ready to go. So I hope that you enjoy those. I have some fun videos coming up and be more cheery and cheerful and fun. But yeah, thank you for stopping by. Please stay healthy and safe and try to have a good day. Bye.